did you notice I disappeared last week? That is because I'm pretty sure I'm almost done with this first draft, like with the book. Welcome back to weeks 18 and 19 of Let's Make a Book Baby, a project where I'm taking you all the way from the beginning of starting to write this book until I publish it. I had to take last week because I could just feel the end of the book coming, and I wanted to give myself space to write it. I still haven't written the ending. I did write all the notes for myself for the rest of it and a really big portion of book 2. So I am very excited right now. The problem is that I'm also preparing for an annual charity event that I run with my friend. So I'll just tell you real quick about that and then we'll get deeper into the book. So every single year my friend June and I host Love for Trans. It is to support a trans charity of our choice. This year we're supporting Trans Lifeline. So if you want to come hang out, you do not have to donate unless you feel called to. Just having everyone there during our live streams that we're doing all week is a lot of fun, and it helps to spread awareness and also create more donations from people who can afford that right now. I would love to see you there. My Twitch account is twitch.tv/riverkai, so I'm looking forward to that. It is 1 week long, ending on Trans Day of Visibility, so I'll see you there. So I think that the issue that I was also running into is that, yes, I'm really busy right now, but then also I'm hesitating right at the end. I think because normally I would write my books all out of order just to prevent this problem. So I'm thinking that I'm going to have to write how I used to, because this time I basically wrote everything in chronological order of what's supposed to happen in the story, and that's not how I usually write. I usually just feel like, okay, I am called to this scene right now, like I feel inspired, I see it clearly, so I'm gonna go write that down right now. And for some reason this time I just felt like everything kind of relied on what just had happened, so I didn't want to skip ahead like I usually would. But the problem that leaves is that I've noticed that makes the ending feel even more daunting, because a lot of writers know that the end of a story or any piece of writing can make or break it, basically. And I feel that pressure a lot of times, but especially right now, where originally my ending idea was going to be this big event. But now that big event, I did not get to dive into that as much because I'm running out of space in this book. It's really long. So it's moving to a further book in the future. So now I have to narrow down and decide what my idea for this particular book is, like which problems I'm going to solve. So far, I figured out that this is a very like interpersonal relationship type of book. So I was thinking like, oh, like we can tie this in with like the global werewolf drama and all that stuff. But it's turning out to be more of a relationship focused book, which I think is still good and something that obviously we're looking for in romance books. So Marcus and Ari, if you haven't heard about them yet, they are werewolves. So this is a steamy werewolf romance. It's like an Omegaverse one. So that means that all the werewolves have alpha, beta, omega genders, sometimes combinations of them, because I wanted it to be very gender queer story. So Marcus is a gender fluid wolf, but he's a cis guy in terms of his human gender. And Ari is an Omega wolf, and he's a trans guy. The two of them are childhood best friends. They lived long distance, like across the entire world, with one of them being in Sweden, the other being in Oregon, United States. Because of that, and like them being so used to each other for so long, they haven't really realized that they want to be mates until this book, because they both felt like it would be burdening or taking something away from the other person if they tried to choose to be each other's mates. So basically they are so used to being so in sync with one another from a long distance and best friends that they don't realize that maybe this is fated. But that makes it very cute because then they're still choosing each other. So they have to come to terms with that in this book. And that might sound like a spoiler, but it's not, because then they have to re-navigate and reform this whole relationship that they have. In the meantime, Marcus has some some inner conflicts because he has PTSD and he's like super afraid of alphas, but part of him being gender fluid is also an alpha, so he's like coming to terms with that. And then Ari, he has a chronic illness, but it's like a werewolf version. So most werewolf stories that are really spicy, they get really into werewolf heats where they're like yearning to be mated. And Ari doesn't feel that because he's in so much pain during them that he's like, yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm interested in that right now. He's kind of self-conscious about that, and also why he's hesitated in finding any romantic relationship in general is like a lot of times it's very centered around that. Like werewolves are very physical and they are like mushy with one another, cuddly and everything, but then they're also very spicy, as we like to say. I feel like between all these different things and them having to come together and figure out how they're going to move forward together, that's a lot to juggle in one book. And like some of those things, like Marcus's journey of accepting himself, it's going to take the whole series. Ari also, because he has a chronic illness, is a little bit worried that he's not going to be good enough as a potential pack leader, but we know from the very, very beginning of the book that he is strong enough to be. And so his dad is just giving him time to settle into that. His dad was like thrown into the role, and it's basically like, wait, yeah, I have it right here, a spin-off series of Ari's parents series. So this is Aaliyah, this is Noah, they're Ari's parents. You don't have to read their story in order to read Ari and Marcus's, but I think it's fun because I tied in a lot of like the lore from that series, so I'm enjoying it. It's kind of a weird situation because I've never done a spin-off series of a completed series before, having to both re-explain all the werewolf lore and also give tidbits for anyone who is staying with this universe and wants to follow it through into a new series. It's kind of weird, like it's a weird challenge, and I'm trying to make sure to wrap that all up and feel like the book one has a satisfying enough ending. So that was my focus this week. I went through, I don't know if I want to tell you the ending, but I went through and was like, can this realistically be pushed to the next book, or would that be disappointing? Because there's things that need to happen usually in a book for it to feel like it fits its genre. For example, with romance books, you usually have a happily ever after ending or a happy for now ending. With a book like this, where the relationship doesn't have too much strife, we probably want to lean towards more happily ever after ending, but that means that I have to hit certain beats of what werewolf lore readers are expecting. So if they're going to choose to be together, they have to commit to that by marking each other or something, forming a permanent soul bond. So that has to happen for sure within this book. I also have to manage all of the proverbial bombs you set off. So as an author, if you show a ticking time bomb, you have to set it off. That's kind of like a story rule that has been come up with throughout the ages. So if I show something happening, I have to have some type of payoff for it in this book. And maybe not just in this book, because there's a lot of things, like I can't tie the whole series in together right now, but it needs to have some type of satisfying way that like we know either it's going to be solved in a future book or it's solved now, and then it can deepen in its issues or deepen the storyline later on in the later series. For example, by settling Marcus and Ari's relationship somehow, it can allow them to focus on like moving into the future. And I kind of had to do that in My Chi Alpha because they were a like burn fast type of couple where they were like, yes, we want to be together like right away. But then they had to figure out how to be together and settling into their roles with that. So then books 2 and 3 move into like long-term relationships and how their relationship morphs throughout that type of new stage in their relationship. So it wasn't like, oh, we're waiting for the whole series to end before they're together. And I don't really want that to be the case for this one either. Which reminds me, I also need a title for this book. I've gone back and forth a bunch of different times, especially as I'm going to be like starting to edit it soon, and that means that it's time to advertise it. So I really need to settle on a title. I don't really know what to do because the title that I had in mind, Ari is called a Shadow King. So I was like, okay, Shadow King Omega sounds kind of cool. But there's some really cool books out there already within this genre that have very similar names. So I have to be careful for that. Titles of books are not copyrighted, so there can be repeat titles, but usually it is customary to not copy a title or even a similar title to another author in your exact subgenre. Especially that's going to put you in direct competition in ways that like probably will not make it easier for you. Like maybe you'll draw attraction to both of each other's books, you could argue, but I don't really think so. It's more of just going to lower you on the search results. One person's going to always be duking it out to see who can be on top, and I don't really want that. I want people to look up my book and see only my book, then maybe other people's books with really vaguely similar titles in the search results below that. So that's the primary reason why we don't choose the same titles, especially if it's like romance and a werewolf book or a shifter book or a megaverse book. So I have to be careful of that, and so far that means I haven't thought of a title. And I have this problem pretty much every book that I have published so far, and that's 7 of them. So I'm gonna probably choose one at the last second. That might be in the next few weeks if we're lucky. Please universe, bring the title to me. I need to know. I needed to spread the word. But yeah, I also got deep into marketing because of that. So when I start to feel hesitation on writing, I switch into administrative mode, which is like a good thing. If I feel inspired to do administrative tasks, I need to do them because they're not as fun sometimes as the creative side. Like you can be kind of creative when marketing, and I've learned very recently more how to have more fun online, like posting on social media or in our YouTube videos now. Like I changed the way I was doing it to be like, hey, I like recording videos. Let's use that to our advantage type of thing. Trying to do more of the administrative tasks that are fun for me while balancing it with things that aren't so fun. But I don't know. I think I started to change my mindset. Like it's starting to feel like, okay, I've gamified this in my head a little bit. I can see how my idea of, okay, if I'm going to create this, I should recycle this content and I'll be able to post it maybe with like a different background image that's fun for people to look at. Because sometimes that one first image will not attract people's eyes, but the second image might be the thing that catches their attention. So it's okay to recycle things. And I think it feels like a game to me to be like, oh, I can use this same content in this way, and it won't feel like I am constantly reinventing everything. Like I don't need to reword stuff. People actually like when I'm repeating what this book is about because it feels like, oh, like they're in the know. I'm trying to keep that in mind, and it's changing things up for me. I also am trying to get better at all of my different marketing tasks, reaching out to influencers. So if you're a bookish influencer and you like to post about books, definitely email me because or contact me on my website, because I am wanting to send free books out to people. I'd much prefer to do that than paying Amazon to shove my book in your face. They don't need more money. God. But it's like a necessary evil sometimes as an author. I've been really getting back into that, and it made me feel relieved because I don't like feeling like I am behind in terms of these things. I like to be a little bit ahead of when I'm going to publish a new series and starting a new series, which is a big deal. Your first book is in a series is the biggest one to market, and it will stay that way because like people are going to read that one first and they might not ever get to the other two. I'm feeling a lot of pressure in that way, but I'm trying to keep it fun, like I'm saying. So we'll see how that goes. Currently have all these boxes because I'm sending some influencers that I hiring them in the sense that they are agreeing with me through this program that I signed up for that pairs indie authors with influencers. So that's really cool. But I am not sponsored by them or anything. I'll tell you about them in a couple months after I see how this all works out. But basically, they are signing up to a campaign of I'm just offering a gifted book copy. They get a book in exchange for a social media post of some kind. So that is one way that I am trying to spread the word in preparation for this next book, because it's in in the same universe. Yeah, it's a wild time. I'm trying to get more creative with that, and I'm gonna try to put more emphasis on sharing what I have made, because I have a huge backlog of clips from these videos and social media posts that have really cool like graphics with like pretty illustrations I took the time to draw, and I'm not sharing them. I don't know why. I think I just feel like it just for some reason feels like a big task, or I'm like, oh, this needs to be like a reveal of this illustration, but then I never reveal it, so then it just disappears into the ethers. Like, so I'm going to try to use what I've worked hard to create. Like, all of my books have illustrations within them, and I should be showing those off, things like that. So if you want to see more of that fun stuff like that, definitely follow me on social media. I love interacting with everyone on there, so if you comment, it's very likely that I will comment unless I do not see it. So, but by the way, thank you for commenting on these videos. I love hanging out with you. So if you also want to come join our Twitch streams this week, we're doing a bunch of special events. I'm even doing a vampire stream, which is ridiculous. It's going to be very late at night in my time zone. So I am looking forward to that, and I will be back to update you maybe with the end of the book of draft 1 finished. We'll see next week. Okay, goodbye for now.